Hello, everyone. This is James Templeton with Templeton Wellness Foundation. It's great to be with you again. And I'm very excited today. And we've got a really nice lady here and from Australia. And she's going to tell us her story. And she's got quite a story. And she's been a survivor of cancer for 29 years. And, she's had a few ups and downs in there, but she's a fighter, and she's going to tell us what she's done and she looks so good, and she's 85 years old, and I mean
83.
83. Okay, 83 years old. I'm sorry. Anyway, I got it wrong, but she looks great, and she's got a lot of energy, and we've been talking a little bit, so I'm excited to hear her story. But before we do that, as usual, I'd like to tell you I have a book. I used to have cancer, how I found my own way back to health. And this is my story. It's called I Used to Have Cancer. And you need to get it for yourself, or for a friend or a family member, because I know it will inspire you and your friends. And hey, it's about what I did. It's about what I would do if I had to do it over again, because I had stage 4 melanoma 38 years ago. And I was told that, I had, one of these from a, regular doctor, conventional doctor, that I needed to do, 80 chemotherapy experimental treatments. And I was going to do it all. But then I found out about a well-known individual that healed himself of cancer using a diet and lifestyle. And as soon as I found out about that, I knew I was going to do that. It's just something inside of me said, you need to do that, because my chances of survival was not great. And it was, 3 to 5 years if I could get through these treatments. And if I didn't do the treatments, then, they didn't know, it didn't look good. But at least I had a little time, but it wasn't a lot of time to mess around. But anyway, my story is about that, and how I basically got up and walked out of the hospital, which I don't recommend that for anybody. Everybody's got to decide on what they want to do. And, so that's what we do here at Templeton Wellness. We try to educate you, and we want you to learn and to read, our blogs, also to listen to our interviews like the one we're going to do tonight. And also we want you to understand that, what I did might not work for you, and what Mary's that we're going to be talking to here did, it might not work for you and other people, but it worked for us somehow, some way, due to probably a number of things. And I know there's hope. And when you're told there's not much, that you can do, I think that's when you have to roll up your sleeves and know that there's a lot you can do out there, a lot more than I knew about back then. And, all we're trying to do is inspire you to start looking and educate yourself, to make better decisions. And it's up to you to do that, everyone. But please look at our videos, look at our survivor interviews, look at our expert interviews. These are some of the most renowned experts, I think, in the world. And they tell you the important things that they have found over 30, 40, 50 years, and the things that seem to be helping people. So that you can look at that and make a decision on what's going to work for you and what you can really get behind and believe in. Because after a while, you start feeling better, then you start to believe in what you're doing. And, it's not an easy thing. It's the battle never really ends, because, you don't want to mess around with cancer, but you can't just go back and live the way you used to. You got to look at your life. You got to look at the way you've been living, and the things you've been exposed to, and the stress you've been under, and the diet that you've been following. And there's so much you need to know about. And one diet doesn't fit all. I can tell you that. One doctor won't help everyone. but you have to make that decision in your heart and soul and feel like you're going to try that because it makes sense to you. You feel like this is the way you need to go. And if something's not working, make some adjustments and make a few shifts, and maybe you work with someone else, or change your diet a little bit, or maybe add a few things. It's just it's a little bit sometimes trial and error, but once you're on the right track, believing is a big positive thing, because it starts to really, I think, activate the healing, because I feel myself that over 50%, at least 50%, is believing, is a positive attitude in believing. And so it's very, very important. And we don't want people to just run out the door and say, I'm not getting chemotherapy, I'm not going to go to a conventional doctor. That's not what we're about. We just want you to know that cancer doesn't start, in a year. Cancer usually takes 10 or 12 years or more, before it can fully develop into detectable cancer in the body in most cases. So, you don't have to make a decision in 2 days. You can make a decision in 2 or 3 weeks, but educate yourself, study, start to believe, start getting motivated, start getting excited about something, because, there's a lot of people that have done very well, and you can't argue with what they say in their stories. So anyway, just a little piece of my mind. And I want to also tell you about our restaurant guide, TempletonList.com. And this is a list and basically a system you can use to find the healthiest restaurants in America, organic, farm to table. You still got to know what you can eat and can't eat, and you got to make better, the choices when you go. And you have to ask questions. If you're on a keto diet or whatever you're on, you have to watch your carbs, of course. So you have to know that, hey, what's in that? I want to, and you want to basically, no matter what you're on, I don't think there's too much argument with this, that sugar, feeds cancer. So carbohydrates, high carbohydrates, high amounts of any kind of substance that turns into sugar, high glycemic foods, causes cancer, and other toxins out there, from, glyphosates and other things. Now, we are all exposed to a lot, but it's important that you know what you need to eat, take advantage of your knowledge, and take advantage of how you feel. And, but anyway, TempletonList.com is our restaurant guide. I'm very, very excited, and I can't wait to hear what Mary's story's all about. And folks, Mary Sponberg-Macready is from Australia, and she's from a kind of a rural area, and it sounds beautiful along the coast, and she'll tell us all that. But she's got quite a story, and she's a stage 4 breast cancer survivor, was diagnosed in 1995 at the age of 56 years old, right, Mary? Is that about right? And but she's going to tell us everything she did and a little bit about her story and what she's been going through over the years, and and she looks great. And Mary, welcome today. It's so good to have you, all the way from Australia this evening.
Thank you, James. I'm delighted to be here too. And I'm happy to tell people what I did and what I didn't do.
Well, thank you so much. I love your accent, and it's a joy to speak to you. And but you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which was breast cancer. And tell us, what did you notice anything? Were you feeling bad, run down, or anything before you were diagnosed?
Well, no, I wasn't feeling a rundown, but I definitely noticed a lump.
Okay.
I noticed a lump. I noticed myself, And
Yeah.
My doctor recommended I go to, it was a public clinic in Sydney, and to have a mammogram. So
Mm-hmm.
I did, and it was the second mammogram I'd had. I wouldn't have them nowadays, but then they said, do you have a referral? I said, no, I don't. I said,
Uh-huh.
but I've been here before, just punch me up on the computer. They found it, and I said, I want a needle biopsy and an ultrasound.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know where I found those words. I don't collect medical terms,
Yes.
but they rolled their eyes and said, okay, can you wait to see the specialist? I said, what time? Was 3 hours wait? I said, no. I said, I'll go home and come back, which I did. He
Mm-hmm.
gave me an ultrasound and a needle biopsy. I saw it on the television screen,
Mm-hmm.
and he almost held my hand. He didn't actually, but he said, he drew diagrams and pictures, and said, you have stage 4 breast cancer.
Oh my
And
God.
I said, I just gulped, and then I said, thank you for telling me. And that's
Now,
all I said.
how do they determine what stage it is?
Well, the determination was it was absolutely sure it was cancer
Mm-hmm.
at that stage 4, absolutely sure.
Yeah.
It's not a possibility or anything, no.
Yeah.
So the needle biopsy showed that with the biopsy. So I just didn't say, when can you fit me in? He said, I want you to have surgery. I want you to have tamoxifen,
Mm-hmm.
which is a drug, and I want you to have radiotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Well,
said, thank you for telling me. So,
is that radiation basically, or
yes, radiation.
so
Yeah.
he wanted to remove the tumor. Now, was it a large tumor or?
Yes, it was a large tumor. I could see it myself from the outside. It was purple,
Oh,
and it was about as big as a large olive in a bottle of olives. Not
now,
little ones, a large
yeah.
one sliced in half.
Did this come on pretty quickly, or had you noticed a lump
No,
there?
I woke up in the night because I sleep on my tummy,
Mm-hmm.
and I woke up in the night with the pain of it. I thought, what's that? And
Oh
then
yeah.
I investigated, and I thought, well, that's a lump. I suppose I better go and have it looked at, but
Yeah.
they didn't pick it up in the
The imaging.
mammograms.
Yeah. Isn't that
It
something?
didn't pick up because right on the edge of the breast, and it was sort of not, well, I could see it on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the testing didn't show. So I went back to my doctor, and he said, I know you're open minded to natural medicines. I said, I certainly am.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but please do your research. And I said, I will. So I went to 4 specialists in Sydney, and they said, I won't mention names, they said, what did the other doctor say?
Mm-hmm.
And I told them surgery and uh,
Chemo.
radiotherapy and tamoxifen. Yeah. And they said, we say the same.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's an old boys network. That's
Yeah.
how,
Yeah.
So I went to the 4th one. This is years ago. I've almost forgotten about it. And he said, how many other doctors have you been to? I said, I'm doing my research. And I lied because you're a bit terrified of doctors.
Sure.
I said the second one, but it was the 4th. So anyway, when I got all these reports from others, I went back to my GP. I said, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, right. And I he said, so he left me with that. But I knew that there was another way. This is burn and poison and cut out. That's what the mainstream medicine is doing. And it's not treating the cause. And there's big causes. One of the big causes of cancer is stress. Huge. And of course, stress affects our body in many, many different ways. So I took 2 weeks at home. I wasn't feeling well, I tell you. 2 weeks at home. I was a school teacher and I gave up straight away. I couldn't bear the sound of a playground of children. And this is a primary school from kindergarten to 6, primary school. We call it here. And anyway, I sat very still and listened to ambient music for 2 weeks. And I read a heap of books that a friend of mine loaned me, connected with natural medicines. Some I thought, that's phooey, that I don't go along with that. And others I thought, oh, that's got a point for me. I took a bit from here and there. And by the end of the 2 weeks, I knew for certain what I was going to do and what I was not going to do.
Wow.
And yeah, so
you started doing a little research on your own. And
yes, I did all my
doing
research.
that, you listened to your intuition and said, this is what I think I'm supposed to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to listen to your body and take notice.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to do something, then you need to listen to the body. And a lot of people don't understand, it's not that they don't understand, they don't think about it, because when you're told that you have cancer, those 3 words are the most feared words by most people, because when a doctor says that and they're very serious about it, I've never seen one that was laughing about it. Have you? And they're very serious, and they're saying, we got to do something, and this is serious, and we need to do this. Well, I understand it is serious, and the thing is, it's very scary. And a lot of people say, well, I wasn't afraid, but I was.
It's scary.
I was scared to death. And, I thought I could see my whole life, ending in front of me, and it just scared
me. Before
here it is. And you got to do something. And what am I going to do? And you start getting paranoid, and you start to, feel sorry for yourself. And you start to think that, hey, how could this happen to me? I'm a good person, all that kind of stuff.
All that stuff. Well, not for one, excuse me interrupting you there, James, not for 1 minute did I say, why me? Never. I never said that. I just said, why? And that is, why did my body allow this to happen?
Yes.
Why did my body start eating itself when I didn't give it permission? So I said, because, first answer, because my immune system is down. Okay, I get that. Why is my immune system down? Because I've had a lot of stress in my life, heaps of stress. I won't go into it. And I said, okay, so I've had a lot of stress. I'm not eating quite so well. I had 5 children and I brought them up myself. And so they were the answers. And I had to say that I treat myself holistically, body, mind, spirit, and emotions. And they're all very, very important. But the mind and the spirit is most important. The body is there anyway. If our mind tells our body how to behave, how to think, what to do. If we say, oh, this is impossible, the body says, okay, it's impossible. If our mind, if our mind says, this can be done, it's been done before, that's one thing. And also, we're created to heal ourselves. given the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously my body was the wrong environment. Get that? That's okay. Don't feel bad about it. Change the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So change it. So immediately I left teaching. And
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And when you said earlier about the cause,
the cause.
and that's the key word right there.
Yeah.
What is the cause?
What
And
is the
whatever
cause?
caused it is from something that was going on in the past. And
Yep.
you can change only tomorrow. You can't go back and change the past. So now we understand there's a cause that causes
Yeah.
it just happened out of the blue, like
Yeah.
what we're saying.
No.
It's
But
so
if you
important.
treat exactly, you can't treat the symptoms. That's
Mhm.
because of the cause.
Yes.
Treat the cause, and the symptoms will go away.
Yes. And
And
it's amazing. It's the body's amazing that
body's
once you bring
amazing.
it back to balance, because it's out of
Mhm.
balance. I had a teacher once that
Yep.
was over 100 years old that told me, she says, cancer is nothing more than the body trying to tell you that it's out of balance and you need to get it
Yep.
back to balance. And you got a chance here to do it. And you don't mess around with it. Get your body back in balance and things will start to turn around for you. Now,
Yep.
it only makes sense, but you got to figure out that some people just, they want someone to do everything for them,
Yeah. No, you got to do it. You got to take responsibility for your own good health
Mm-hmm.
and your own return to health. You have to take your own responsibility.
You're
Don't
right.
expect the doctor to fix you up or any medication or no, don't expect that. You've got to do it yourself using your intellect
Mm-hmm.
and using your mind. And I'm very fortunate to have a Christian background.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives me a wonderful feeling of a confidence and a feeling of belief. And
Yes.
so I knew that what I was going to do would work given a bit of time. It would work.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no doubts. You've got to have total faith in what you believe. Don't think, oh, I'll try this, I'll do that, I'll do a bit of this. And of course, the mainstream medical people, they were aghast. They didn't want me to do this at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, it's my body.
Now, what did they give you any information about what they think caused it?
Oh, no, they didn't talk about causes at all.
Yeah.
I talked about cause, and in my reading, I knew it was stress and immune system down, not noticing that what was happening. So I had to turn that around. Now, I became vegan overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was vegan for 6 years, but that's a long time ago. I'm not now.
Yeah.
But as you said before, James, sugar is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feed your cancer with
No.
sugar or carbohydrates that turn into sugar.
You're
No.
right. You're right.
No. So keep that.
And think about all the sugar that most people eat. And,
Exactly.
I think, it's unbelievable. It's over 100 and something pounds a year on the average of sugar, but that's white sugar. And I'm talking about carbohydrates. Look at all the stuff that's got high in carbohydrates, which are high on what they call the glycemic index that basically feeds the cancer, the high glucose in the system. That cancer just has so much more insulin receptors to just gobble this up. And that's what they're waiting on. So it only makes sense. And from my, background and people I've interviewed, that when you starve the cancer from the sugar that it's dying to get, it doesn't live very long for most people. And it really fades down to a level to where your immune system that you should be working on your immune system, as you said, starts to whittle away at it. That's the idea,
Yeah. See, I use the paradigm that the body will heal itself given the right environment. But
Right.
in my opinion, mainstream medicos use the body has been invaded, let us burn it, cut it out, or poison it.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't treat the cause
And
at
a
all.
lot of
Yeah.
times people feel that, oh, your mother had cancer or your father
Yeah.
had cancer, so
Yeah.
that's why you have the cancer. Now,
Yeah.
I've struggled with that one over the years because uh it's like my parents both died at a very young age. So I mean, when I was very young, and I don't know what caused it, but there's a lot of things. But the idea is that from what I have heard and from the research that I've heard says that 90% of it is self-induced, you know?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And also, it's not genetic, it is what you do yourself
Yeah.
to, it's nothing to do with your genes. It's
Hmm.
how your body reacts to stress.
Hmm.
That's what
I
it,
think that you can inherit certain weaknesses from your parents, maybe
mm,
certain mutations that
mm,
will affect the immune system. But I
mm,
also think that you inherit tendencies to
mm,
eat certain foods or live certain lifestyle from your parents,
mm,
and you're
mm.
brought up your grandparents. So it just comes natural to want to live like that. So
Yeah,
it gets you into trouble.
exactly. Now, another one of my big helps
Hmm.
was that I'm a very positive person and I have gratitude for everything. Talk about an attitude of gratitude. We've all got to be thanking the Lord for giving us what we have. I live
Hmm.
in the most beautiful place, a retirement village. I've been here 17 years. I didn't think I could leave Sydney. I love the city so much, and I still do. And I can travel by train. I used to drive down, but I'm only driving locally now. And so you've got to do things that give you something to look forward to. You've got to treat yourself in simple ways, really
Hmm.
simple ways.
Hmm.
I love classical music, and I have that all the time, just about on in my house.
Wonderful.
Classical music, yeah. And I also, cancer is generally spelt with a big capital C for cancer. No, no, just a small c. It's a
Mm.
small c cancer. Don't make it big. Don't tell it it's important. It's not. We're just dealing with it. And so even though I changed my diet, not radically, because I was always a very light meat eater, and I still am a light meat eater, but I don't actually buy a special organic food. I
Hmm.
hardly ever do.
Hmm.
And I think finances might have influenced my actions before. But I just eat simply and don't overindulge. I don't drink alcohol. That suits me. I've never smoked, and that suits me too.
Hmm.
And it's just you've got to live a simple life and be aware of your what your body is telling you and
Hmm.
listen to it. You know.
That's right.
So, yeah, what else do I've got quite a few things written down here. Oh,
Well,
protect yourself from toxic people. Keep away from toxic situations.
stress.
Uh,
There's the stress.
yeah, that's the stress. But some people,
Stress is a big problem with people
it's
that have
big.
cancer. A lot of people work on everything else, but they're not working on the emotional side of things enough.
The emotional side, exactly.
And
Yep.
that affects us all. And whether you have depression, whether you have anxiety, whether
Yeah.
you're, like, don't feel good about yourself, or are you,
Oh no.
or you've had bad relationships, or you don't
Yeah.
feel like you're ever going to get to a certain level, with your job. It's just stressful. And then some
Yeah.
people go through divorces, and then
Mm,
they end up with cancer, a year later, because
mm.
maybe they had the cancer brewing, but now this sort of pushed them over the cliff,
Yeah. Yeah.
extra
And
stress.
you've got to do things that make you happy.
Hmm.
And simple things. See, I've been a singer all my life and I'm still singing. I don't do solos quite so much now, but I'm in charge of a singing group. We call it the Henry Kendall Singers. Henry Kendall's a poet in Australia, and that's the name of our village, Henry Kendall
Hmm.
Gardens. And I love it. So music and simple things that give you happiness, give
Yeah.
yourself something to look forward to.
Hmm.
Treat yourself.
Yes.
Even say, when I've cleaned the kitchen, I'll give myself a cup of coffee. That'd be nice. So you just sit down and enjoy it then.
Yeah.
You know,
And you just enjoy life more, because
enjoy life more.
before you were diagnosed with cancer, did you do all these things, or you learned that you needed to do more of these things?
Well, I did most of these things before, but my first marriage was very stressful.
Hmm.
And believe in the power of prayer. Prayer, get your places. When I went to the doctors with the second time I had cancer, of course, it was a very stressful time in my life. The second time,
Let me interrupt you. How long after the first diagnosis?
first one, was about 15 years.
Okay. So was it the same kind of cancer or
Yes,
different?
exactly the same place.
Oh my
Exactly
goodness.
the same place. And my doctor said, do what you did the first time. And I thought, oh, yeah, meditation and change the diet. She said, prayer, I mean, Mary. And I said, of course.
Hmm.
And so you've got to have a positive attitude, and you set your boundaries with
Uh-huh.
your family and your friends. Set your own
Well,
boundaries.
and now, did you were on this diet and you were eating more vegetarian, and
Yeah.
then did you slip off of that, or you stayed with it, or why do you think you
Well,
got it
when
whack?
I got married the second time, and my dear husband died 10 months later. 10
Oh,
months. I
stress.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, another 14 years later, I got married again, and the cancer came back at that time. And but no, it's gone. It went, and so you've just got to keep positive
Hmm.
emotions and not allow people to pull you down in a
Yeah.
negative way.
So it sounds like the emotional side was the most important side for you
Yeah,
of all. And now
yeah,
I hear that some people uh claim they feel that is the most important thing. Sometimes
yeah.
it's prayer, whatever, but it all helps that emotional
It
part of
does.
the body.
It
Now
does.
the thing that I've found interesting is that uh some people just never can get that taken care of and get that back to balance. They just have this
Mm,
stress and they thrive on it for some reason, and they never ever seem to get a handle on it. And a lot of them
yeah.
don't do well. A lot of people don't do well. So
No.
it's so important for people to hear this, because you changed your diet, you changed your lifestyle, you started to reward yourself, you started to
Yep. Reward myself.
enjoy life more. I mean, in a
Yep.
healthy way. But you
Yes.
also
Yes.
started to try to eliminate as much stress as you could, and not let things bother you. Put yourself first when it comes to
Yep.
taking care of yourself.
Exactly.
Hmm. Sounds
Yeah.
very familiar with a lot of people that I've talked to over the last, 30 plus years.
And look at beauty. Get beauty into your life if it's not there much. I like beauty,
Yes.
pictures, flowers. I'm taking photographs with my mobile phone. I think you call it cell phone. And I it's really good. I love it. And I make greeting cards with it. And I give it to a friend of mine who makes beautiful greeting cards with my pictures. And then she gives them away to the hospital for people there who are in the camp. See, I can't mix around people with cancer who are having mainstream treatment. Because in most cases they're very negative and they're all upset, and I understand why.
Now, you're right. Tell me if there was other things you did, like naturopathic type treatments and things like that over the years.
No, not really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking. I've got a few little things written down here. Always be positive. Protect yourself from toxic environments.
Mm-hmm.
And that means emotional toxic environments
Mm-hmm.
and any other toxic environments too. You
Just kind
so
of try to avoid conflict and stress in your life.
yes, absolutely. And then people like being around you,
Mm-hmm.
but don't be a slave to what other people want you to do.
Right.
No, just suit yourself, not in a selfish way, in
Mm-hmm.
a realistic way.
Have you ever noticed how a lot of people that have cancer or get cancer are the nicest people you'll ever meet? And
Yes,
it
they are.
seems like they're the ones that are sensitive people, and people will take advantage of these people a lot. I've known a lot of people, not all of them. There's always different ones, but but I've noticed a lot of the nicest people because I lived around people that were dealing with cancer way back, and we saw a
Yes.
lot of people come and go, and they were such lovely people in general, and so easygoing and nice people that did not do well with stress.
No, no. And it's because they're used, if people ask them to do a chore for them, they can't say no. But you
Mm-hmm.
must say no. And you know what? I worked out 20 years ago, you just say no and you don't say sorry, just say no. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me is a very powerful phrase.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that you don't want to help people. No.
Sure.
Can you take me to the city next week and drive me down? Oh no, that doesn't work for me. And they say, oh, that's okay. Would the following week do? And you say that it doesn't work either. And so they say that's okay, and they go and ask someone else.
Well,
But
I'm gonna have to learn that lesson a little better myself because I'm
yeah,
guilty of this sometimes,
don't
and
say no.
I
I'm sorry. Don't say sorry.
and I personally don't do well with a lot of stress, so I try to run from it. I try to avoid it, and I try to get along with people. And I guess
Yeah,
part of me, I'm talking about myself now, like want people to like me, but
yeah,
I don't want people to like me to like I want them to, you know, be friendly with me because I'm going to be friendly with them. But sometimes
yeah.
it doesn't work like that. So
No.
anyway, I appreciate what you're saying about this. Now, uh is there any other thing you credit to being, I know we talked a lot about the emotional side of things,
Yes.
and uh other than a good rounded healthy diet that's hopefully not full of toxins, and it's a good clean water and food, and and,
Yep.
good, clean living, I guess you could say. Is there anything else that you feel like helped you and maybe other people should maybe look into?
Um, Not really.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that what you've
Mm-hmm.
said, and mostly it is boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's emotional, and don't let people put upon you. Expect, you've got to say no. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
when I said, don't say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that, I don't mean never apologize if you've made a mistake. No,
Mm-hmm.
no. Always, I'm the first one to say, oh, my mistake, sorry. I thought
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so, but it's not. No, but just let you have the happiest life you can have.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
person with the diagnosis, and it's a small c cancer.
and it makes a big difference who your friends are and who your partners are,
Yes,
or your husband or wife,
yes,
because I used to feel that a lot of people do very well when they need to take care of themselves and put themselves first, and they can't do that because of maybe their family or somebody doesn't agree with what they want to do. Sometimes you need to
yeah.
take a little hiatus and go away for a while,
Oh,
and
yes,
and and
absolutely.
it gets you a little cottage, or get you, or go somewhere where you can really take care of yourself and get to know yourself a little better, and
Yeah, yeah,
do some research and study and learn, and start to really believe in what you're doing. It's so important.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the negative people are like, oh, people are constantly being negative and trying to,
Yeah,
tell you what you need to do.
yeah.
And inside, if you listen to yourself deep inside, I think you will learn real quick what you need to do.
Yes, of course you will. Listen to yourself. See, in Australia here, it's probably the same in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't want to hear what I'm saying,
Mm-mm.
because most people know somebody, a friend or family member, who's going through mainstream cancer treatment and not being too well at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're being poisoned or burnt or having a operation.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to hear that there's another way.
Mm-hmm.
See, we've got a group in Australia called Cancer Information Support Society,
Mm-hmm.
and that mainly deals with support for anyone with cancer, and especially um, natural medicines.
Yes.
Oh no, the authorities are trying to get rid of it. It's been around for 40 years,
Yes.
but no, they're trying to stifle the message,
Well,
because, in my opinion, cancer is an industry.
yes, it is. And it's like any business. I mean,
It's a
they're
big
taught and
business.
trained to do what they do, and a lot of the people,
Yes.
they don't want to step outside the box because they
No.
get in trouble, and a
Yep.
lot of them are decent people. It's just how they are, and it's a it's just that's all they really know. And you can talk to most doctors and they'll say that's all we know to do, and if they
Yeah.
start doing natural things, they get into trouble and
In big trouble.
lose their livelihood. So I
Yes.
understand
Yes.
why they don't want to hear about it too
It's
much. And, you were talking about support. I just want to let people know that I don't know if you have any chapters over in Australia or not. You should. And there's a group over in the US that's called Healing Strong. Healing
okay.
Strong is a support group, and Susie Griswold is the founder, and she
Okay.
has chapters all over in different countries, but all over this country. And it's
Yep.
support, and it is a faith-based organization but
Yeah.
it's not, it's like good people,
Yep.
supporting each other, and they lean towards more natural ways of healing. And
Yeah.
it's not, they're not pushing you to do, what you don't. I mean, they're very comforting.
They're just giving you information.
Yes. And I highly recommend them for anybody looking for someone, or
Yeah.
having friends that have gone through the same thing, that are in the know. And I support them because I really believe in what they're doing, and they're really good people. And if anybody is listening, that's in Australia, I
Yes.
know they would love to do something if they're not already, because I don't know. But
Do you have a website for
uh,
them?
Healing Strong, just like it sounds, Healing
Yeah,
Strong
I've written that down. Healing Strong,
dot
Susie
com.
Griswold.
I believe it's .com.
Yeah.
But that if they type in Healing Strong,
Yeah.
they're out of the state of Georgia's their corporate office. And
Uh-huh.
so anyway, yeah, they're wonderful. She is a wonderful lady. She's a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
They've been to, it's their 10th year anniversary. Well, it was in October. So
Lovely.
I actually went down and spoke at the conference in Texas.
Good.
They had it in Texas, but it was a wonderful, wonderful group. And these people are, they're just wonderful people that
Yeah.
are there for the right cause, to help people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, people feel alone sometimes when they're going through this. They're not alone
Yes.
if they get in touch with Healing Strong.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Excellent.
Well, yeah, it's a wonderful thing. But is there anything else you'd like to talk about that we haven't this evening?
Not really, except my boys say to me, Mum, you could reach 100, you know. I said, yes, I know I could.
Yes.
And I feel, in spite of the fact that I've got a chronic complaint, it doesn't hold me down. I lie on the floor a lot with
Mhm.
Alexander technique, and
Mhm.
have a book under my head. Look up Alexander technique. They'll give you semi-supine position. I've been
Mhm.
doing that for 30 years. It gives me a quick pick me up for energy. And I've also added that I put my feet with knees bent on a wall or
Mhm.
down on the floor. And one of my boys, my youngest boy, was last week, he said to me, yeah, I do that now. I've said, I've done that for 30 years, Daniel. And he said, but I've just copied it and it works well. He lives in Melbourne.
Oh,
But
wonderful.
yeah, so
Well,
I feel more energized now than I have for a long time.
well, you're doing a great job, and 29 years you've survived this thing that they call cancer, and you're doing great, and you've got a lot of energy, and you just, keep up the good work, and keep smiling, and enjoying life.
James,
And yes,
yeah,
and I really, really, really appreciate what you're doing, and it's been a joy talking to you.
yeah, thank you. And thank you. A joy talking to you too.
Thank you so much. And I hope to speak to you again sometime. And
Okay.
hold on a minute before you let go. And but anyway, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Mary. And she's very inspirational to a lot of you and myself. And I know that, the emotions is something you really need to work on. And your diet's important, and there's a lot of things that is important. I talk about a lot of it in my book. Again, I used to have cancer, but this is just coming from me. This is just me. And you know you're different. Everybody's a little different, as I said earlier. But you really need to work on, I like to say, kind of like diet, detox. Supplements are very powerful for a lot of people. But the emotional side of the body needs to be not be the last thing, probably the first thing you need to work on. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is James Templeton. We'll see you next time.